All right, how's it going, musical warriors? Mr. Maschmeier and Mr. Barry with you. We are still at home. We're in different locations, so you're going to see a split screen like you did yesterday. We're going to continue on with our basic rhythms, but today we are going to be talking about rests and stems. So I am going to turn this over to our theory guru, Mr. Barry.
All right, guys. Hey, why don't you go ahead, if you do not already have assignment 26 up, go ahead, pull it up, have it handy, and then go ahead and bring your screens back up.
All right, we are presenting now. You all should see the presentation. This is the wrong thing. That was somebody else's assignment. Let me go into classwork, basic rhythms. I did it again.
Thank you for letting me know. Just try to get it up if you could, okay? All right, so we're looking at assignment 26. Let me go ahead and zoom in. All right, so before we get started with assignment 26, let's just do a quick recap of the notes that we learned from assignment 25 yesterday. So who can tell me, what is this note right here that I'm drawing? What is that?
Can you guys see it? What is it?
What type of note is that?
It's like a quarter note.
Thank you. It's a quarter note. Does anyone remember the value of a quarter note?
1.
1 beat, correct.
Thank you. Most definitely 1 beat. Thank you, guys. So the next note looks like a quarter note, but it's not shaded in. It just has a bubble. It still has that stem going along the left side of it. So what is that called?
Half note.
Very good. How many beats?
Definitely. And what's the value of a half note?
2.
2 beats.
Very good.
The last note kind of looks like a half note without the stem, just a bubble head. So what is that called? A whole
Very
note.
good. Whole note.
And what's the value of a whole note?
4 beats.
4 beats, most definitely.
4 beats.
So just kind of wanted to review that real quick, because we're going to be talking about something that's somewhat the same but slightly different than the notes that we learned yesterday. Today we're going to be learning about rest, okay? So when we think about notes, we're thinking about sounds that are produced by instruments, drums, things of that nature. Okay, so when we think about rest, we're thinking about silent beats, okay? So let me read what it says here. It says the duration of musical silence is indicated by different types of rest, okay? So that's how we want to think about the two. So let's look at the 3 different rests that we're going to be focusing on today. The first of which is called a quarter rest. A quarter rest is valued at 1 beat, and that's what the symbol looks like. Can someone tell me, what does that symbol resemble? What does it look like?
Come on.
It looks like a Z. Okay, I can somewhat see that. It kind of sort of looks like a squiggly line, doesn't it?
Yep. Maybe a lightning bolt.
Yep. Maybe if you took it and turned it sideways, it might actually look like a mustache, right? Okay, so that's what you want to think, guys. You want to think, well, what does this look like? Whatever you need to do to help you remember what it is, okay? So one more time, it's a quarter rest. It equals 1 beat, and it looks like a squiggly line or a lightning bolt, okay? The second one is a half rest. The value of a half rest is 2 beats. Can someone tell me, what does that look like? A half rest.
A hat.
Like a hat.
Doesn't it? Okay, so a half rest looks like a box that's sitting on the lines. To be specific, which line? Look at the staff below the half rest, where we have 2 half rests displayed there. Someone tell me, which line are the boxes sitting on for a half rest?
What line is
The third one.
Which one, Beauty?
The third one.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
The third one.
Definitely the third one, most definitely, okay? Now let's look at a whole rest. A whole rest kind of sort of looks like a half rest. A whole rest is 4 beats. Who can tell me, what does a whole rest resemble? What does it look?
It's like a half rest.
Okay,
Yep.
so it's like an upside down hat, or it looks like a half rest that's upside down. Most definitely correct. Now let's look on the staff where that whole rest is, and someone tell me which line is the box hanging from for a whole rest. What line number?
The fourth one.
Yes, definitely the fourth line. Okay.
It's 4 beats and it hangs from the 4th line.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna revisit this in just a second, but let's look at something slightly different. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to be reviewing are stems. So let's read what it says. It says there are rules to follow when drawing stems on either a half note or a quarter note. Okay, if the notes are on or above the third line, the stem for a half note or for a quarter note are drawn downward on the left side. So let me read that one more time. So if the note head, the bubble, is either on the middle line, which will be line 3, or if it's above, so that would be like line 4, line 5, space 3, space 4, then the stem should be drawn on the left side going downward. Okay, just like the 4 notes that we have right below that sentence that I just read. Okay, we see those 4 notes, they're all either on or above the third line, and they're all going downward. Now let's look at the next one.
What about the letter?
Say that again.
What
Oh,
about
yeah.
the letter?
Thank you for reminding me, guys. What letters? Let's look. We're looking at these 4 right here. What letter of the alphabet do they closely resemble? So those notes look like what letter of the alphabet?
A P.
They look like the letter P, most definitely. They look like the letter P. Okay, so I'm saying this to say, guys, whenever you are drawing your stems or your notes and you're drawing the stems downward, it should look like the letter P. Now, if it looks like the letter Q, you have drawn the stem on the wrong side of the note head. Okay, so it should not look like a Q, it should look like a P.
Looks like a P.
All right, now let's look at the next group of notes and let me read what it says. It says, if the notes are below the middle line, so below line 3, the stems are drawn in a upward direction on the right side of the note head. So let's look at, I'm going to circle it. He's erasing what I circled first, and now I'm going to circle these 4. So now we're looking at those 4. So we see the note head and we see how the stem is going up the right side in a upward direction, right? So what note do those 4 notes, I'm sorry, what letter do those 4 notes resemble of the alphabet? What letter of the alphabet do those 4 notes that I just circled resemble?
B.
Not B, the letter D as in dog. Yeah, okay, it sounds like you said a B. So D as in dog. So most definitely it should look like a D. If the note looks like the letter B, then you have drawn the stems on the wrong side of the note head. Okay, so it should either look like a P or like a D. Okay, so actually let's jump down and let's do some of these to make sure that we understand what to do. So let's look at number 5. Number 5 reads, draw the appropriate stem on the following note heads. So let's look at the first one. Is the first one above or below the middle line?
Below.
Below. So one more time. Let's read what it says up top. If the notes are below the middle line, the stems are drawn upward on the right side of the note head. So on the right side of that note head, we need to draw upward, a stem going upward just like that.
So it looks like a D as in dog.
Correct. All right, let's look at the next one. So where specifically is that note head on the staff? What line? Right in the middle on line number 3. So let's read what it says up at the top. It says, if the notes are on or above the third line, the stem for half notes and quarter notes are drawn downward on the left side of the note head. So he's going to draw it down on the left side of the note head, and it should resemble the letter P.
For Papa.
All right. So let's look at the next one. Someone tell me where are we going to draw that stem? Anyone? Where do we draw the stem? Or is it going up? Is it going down? Is it on the left? Is it on the right?
Down.
Okay, no, it's not going down. And Mr. Brown, you're correct. It is going up. But what side is, if it's going up, what side of the note head are we drawing the stem on? The left or the right?
Right.
The right. So yeah, we're gonna
Good.
draw the right, most definitely. Then the last one for this one. So someone tell me, where am I going to draw that stem for that particular note head?
Going down.
Going down, left or right side?
Left.
Left side. Very good.
Excellent job. All right, so guys, you can finish completing number 5. Let's go ahead and look at number 1 now. So number 1 and number 2 are super easy. All you got to do is follow the directions and do exactly what it tells you to do. So first, it starts off by saying, practice drawing quarter rests by tracing over the dotted lines. Okay, so there are 4 quarter rests there for you to practice tracing over. Make sure you do each and every single one of those. Then the instructions go on to read, draw 4 quarter rests in each of the blank measures. How many blank measures are there, guys, for number 1? Let me answer.
4.
There are 3 blank measures. Thank you. So there are 3 blank measures. So if you're drawing 4 quarter rests in each of those 3 measures, how many total quarter rests do you need to draw? 12. Thank you.
Right.
So 4 in
12
each
and
measure.
only 12. I had an over last hour that drew 6 each measure, which is 6 beats per measure, but we're only in 4/4.
Okay, so that's what you do in number 1. Number 2, it says draw 2 half notes in each of the first, I'm sorry, draw 2 half rests in each of the first 2 measures. So you're going to draw 2 in the first measure, 2 in the second measure. So how many total half rests will you be drawing in the first 2 measures combined? 4. So 2 in measure 1, 2 in measure 2. Then it reads, then draw 1 whole rest in each of the last 2 measures. So 1 whole rest in each of the last 2 measures. How many whole rests are you drawing, guys? 2. Thank you. You're going to put 1 in measure 3 and then 1 in measure 4. Okay.
Remember, half rests are drawn on line 3. Whole rests suspend from line 4.
Okay, so number 3, writing down the counts for rests. Now, this is going to look completely different from what we did yesterday. Yesterday, when we counted, or we wrote the counts out for notes, we were writing numbers, and then we were putting dashes between numbers depending on the value of those notes. Now we're dealing with rests. Whenever we are writing counts for rests, we are going to put an R to represent the rest, okay? Which is different than the notes. The notes represent sound. That's why we put numbers. The rest are silent. So we're going to put an R to represent a silent count. All right, so if we look at the first measure, we see that we have 4 quarter rests, right? The time signature is 4/4 time. So how many R's are we going to write, guys?
4.
Exactly.
We're going to write 4 R's, okay? So that first R represents beat number 1. The second R represents beat number 2 in the measure. The third one represents beat number 3, and the fourth one represents beat number 4. Okay. All right, now let's look at the next measure. Now we're dealing with half rest. What's the value of a half rest again? How many beats?
How many beats does a half rest get, gang?
2.
Very good.
Okay, so just like we're going to do the same thing for rests like we did for notes. Whenever we come across a rest that is larger than 1 beat, what do we put in between those R's? We're going to put a dash, just like we did for the half note and then also for the whole note. Okay, so we're going to do this for the half rest and for the whole rest. Okay, so to close this measure, we have another half rest, so we're going to put R-R. The first 2 R's, those are covering beats 1 and 2 of the measure. And then the last 2 R's in that measure are covering beats 3 and 4 of the measure, okay? We'll do one more measure together, and then you guys will complete number 3, the rest of number 3 by yourselves, okay? The next measure, the third measure, what type of rest is that? It's hanging. It's a whole rest, most definitely. Thank you, Beauty. So we're going to put how many R's?
4
And what are we going to put anything in between those R's?
dashes.
We're going to put dashes between the R's, most definitely. We're going to put a dash between all of those R's.
Because the whole rest is sustained for 4 counts.
Most definitely, yes. Okay, so guys, you should be able to finish the rest of number 3. Let's look at number 4. So number 4, we're dealing with both notes and rest. So you'll have to recap what you learned yesterday when we discussed quarter notes, half notes, and whole notes. Okay, so it says write the counts below the notes and rest, then add the missing bar line. So let's do that first. We know we're in 4/4 time, which means that we have 4 beats per measure. We start out with notes. Someone tell me, what is the first note here for number 4? What note? What type of note is that?
Quarter note.
Very good.
Thank you, Beauty. It's a quarter note. So a value of a quarter note is 1 beat. The first quarter note is on beat number 1 in the measure, okay? That quarter note is followed by another quarter note, which is also equivalent to 1 beat, but this is on beat number 2 in the measure. So we're going to give it a 2. The next note, can someone tell me the third note there? What type of note is that? How many beats is it worth?
Come on, choir, you can do it.
Half note.
Thank you. Half note, and it's worth 2 beats. So if it's worth 2 beats, what 2 beats does it get? We just ended with beat number 2, so we're going to pick up right there, and it would be 3-4. Okay. Now, the second thing that the instructions tells you to do at number 4, it says add in the missing bar line. So you will see a bar line after every 4th beat. So whenever you guys get to beat number 4, that's where you add a bar line. Okay, so we're going to do one more measure of number 4, and then you guys are going to go ahead and complete assignment 26. So the next measure, what is that note or rest called? It's a box. It looks like it's hanging from a line. What is it called?
What's it called, Ben?
Thank you. It's called a whole rest. Thank you.
Okay, whole rest.
And the value of a whole rest, just like a whole note, is 4 beats. But instead of putting numbers, we put R's, and we're going to put dashes between the R's to represent that particular rest carrying over from the first beat all the way to the 4th beat. Okay. And the 4th R, that indicates the end of that measure. So we're going to add a bar line right after that. All right, guys. So have at it. We've gone over everything here. If you guys have any questions, we are here to answer your questions. Just turn your microphone on. If you would like it this time, okay, Jalen, I'll look at it in a second. If you would like it this time to go ahead and turn your cameras off, by all means, go ahead and do so.
All right, campers. That does it for another fine day of theory, and we just want to say goodbye. So,
all right, peace out, guys.
I love you. See you again tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, guys. Take care.